Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good night, good evening, whatever time it is that you're watching this particular video, I want to greet you. Today I want to express my thoughts on a particular topic, or more so a word I call self-full. Now, in certain sphere and certain conversations and certain discussions, this particular word would probably be seen as a negative word, a negative adjective. But today I want to look at this word through another eye. Let's look at it through Matthew 22 and verses 37 to 39. So here we had a lawyer that asked Jesus which of the commandments were seen as the greatest or were considered to be the greatest. He could have chosen any of the other commandments from the Old Testament, from the law of Moses, or even the Ten Commandments. Instead, he summarized all this in two. One being, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And what this says in my words, or as I interpret what it is that we have read, firstly, Jesus is saying that, okay, honor me, love me with all there is within you, love me with all your heart, love me with all your soul, love me with all your mind. And secondly, you want to talk about a great commandment? A great commandment is loving your neighbor as yourself. And the second, as I highlighted here, particularly gives some implications, or somewhat, it allows me to look in this particular scripture, because if Jesus can tell us to love our neighbor as ourselves, then certainly he's expecting us to love ourselves. Love ourselves. Love yourself. How many of us can sit and pretty much say, I love myself? I'm confident that I love myself. I appreciate myself. I appreciate my process. Many of us do not love ourselves, and it's reflective of how we treat others. It's reflective of how we deal with others. It's reflective of how we even deal with ourselves, how we deal with our children, how we deal with our spouses, how we deal with our neighbors, how we deal with our families, how we deal with those that we have to interact with. Do you really love yourself? Selfishness is not being self-full, and that's the word I'm using today, self-full. The language that I want to use to say I love myself. Selfishness is not being self-full, being prideful and caught up in self and thinking that you're better than others. Really, that's not being self-full. Self-full is not even reflective of how you dress, because particularly that would want to be considered under impression management as you decide how it is that you want others to see you, whether you want others to see you in a positive light by how you dress, or if you want others to see you in a negative light by just being rugged and ragged. But neither speaks to being self-full or loving yourself. Self-full pretty much speaks to being able to love you, being able to appreciate you. And bear with me because I wrote these things down because I really don't want to miss it. I want us to understand this term self-full, being able to be appreciative of where you are in your process, being loving to yourself, giving yourself time, giving yourself a pat on the shoulder, well done, or you did well with regards to that or this. You understand? Self-full, loving on you, loving on yourself. Many of us struggle in that area. We're not able to look in the mirror. We're not able to look and eyeball ourselves in the mirror and say, I love you. I love that about you. I love your big eyes. I love your broad nose. I love your gap in your teeth. I just love you. Not many of us are able to speak to that. And so it reflects quite a bit as to how it is that we deal with others, as to how it is that we speak to others, as to how we sometimes become arrogant and disrespectful to others, not considering how others feel, because we really are arrogant and disrespectful to ourselves when we sit in our little corner to deal with ourselves. I want to encourage you, take the time to express some amount of love to yourself. Take the time to evaluate how full or how empty you are with yourself. Love yourself, appreciate yourself, appreciate the process of self-growth, unlearn some things. And as I mentioned, even unlearning things. There are some things that we would have learned from our primary and secondary source of socialization growing up. Probably how mommy treated daddy, or how mommy and daddy treated you, how your abusive dad treated you, or how your mom was abusive to you, rejected you, abandoned you. And it would somewhat cause you to formulate an idea of self that doesn't allow you to love self. You may need to unlearn that, because guess what? Especially if it is that you find that you're in a role wherein you're caring for others. I find some teachers, some pastors, some husbands, some wives, some therapists, some doctors, and you find that they're so aggressive with others. It is because they haven't taken the time to appreciate themselves, to appreciate being self-full, or to evaluate how full or how empty they are with self. When you love yourself, you're able to love on others. You treat others well. You're overflowing. Your cup will run over with self-love, that you flow over into the lives of others. It affects how you deal with them. It affects how you talk to them. It affects how you reason with them. It affects your patience level. It affects your your kindness. It affects how much you're willing to suffer with them. It affects your over everything about you, once it is that you're able to be self-full. I'll encourage you today, take the time to reflect on you, reflect on your path, reflect on your experiences, evaluate, do a self-check. There's a particular song that says, do a self inventory. Do an inventory of your woman and your glory. Well, do an inventory of your self love. Do an inventory of how full of self you are, not in a negative light as society have taught us, but more so how much it is that you can love and appreciate you, and be so full of self that you pour out into others all that love and goodness that you're willing to pour out on you. Some of you even need to take a break from what it is that you're doing and evaluate and reflect and reposition and set yourself in a particular way that you can love on you. This is your girl, Reverend Dr. Nicolette Brown, and today I'm saying I'm full of love. I'm full of self-love, and I'm pouring out some of my love to you. God bless you.